All right, Eric Ward, I'm so excited to talk to you. How have you been, man?
Doing good, man. Living the dream.
Now, for those that don't know Eric, self-proclaimed computer dork, which, hey, man, you're owning it. But obviously, you've had an incredible journey professionally. I think the simplest way for me to kind of introduce you to people is to say that what Eric does is he really helps kind of eliminate manual, kind of repetitive work, specifically for architecture and engineering firms. And he does it by building these really cool automations and connecting all these systems that are disconnected. And you're kind of the guy that can turn like 3 days of manual work into one click.
Yeah, so, I call it the hero role. It's really fun. It's really rewarding to see someone take what they're doing. Example, clicking print for a day and a half on 1,000 PDFs a month, and all of a sudden they don't have to do it anymore. The excitement level is pretty fun. That's why I call it the hero role.
I love it, man. I love it. So before we dive into kind of some of the different LinkedIn stuff that we're working on together, I want to give people a little bit of your background. So kind of take us back, to the career journey, from the Texas A&M days and forward, and kind of how you've ended up where you are.
That's a long journey, but I'll give you the highlights.
So I'll start with your birth, but I mean,
hold on, let me start with, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always felt drawn to it. So I've really had very few jobs, put them in air quotes, but so after college, first thing we did was, it was right when the .com domain names were coming out. Very few people were doing domain names. And back in the day, it was Yahoo was the big search engine. It wasn't Google, it was Yahoo. And we figured out through a bunch of trial and error, we built a website that registered domain names. And we did an integration with the domain companies that automatically registered, and we figured out how to get on the front page of Yahoo. We were number one. So when you search for registered domain names, we were there. And that lasted about probably 30 to 45 days. And then, like any good company, they changed their algorithm. And we tried to get back. We got on to page 2, we got on to page 1 a little bit, but never got back to number 1 again. And that number 1 generated a lot of revenue. It was really fun. It was really fun to see those orders come in as people were doing domain names. And finally, after years of trial and error, we landed on ERP integrated websites. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, big old fancy name, but really it is your QuickBooks, your Dynamics, your Jiras, all these systems that run a company's back end, right? So it runs their inventory, their payroll, their pricing, their customers, all that stuff. It's that business management system's huge. So most of the systems out there are not designed to run a website. So a lot of we were running B2B, we did some B2C, but a lot of B2B, where our customers, what they really wanted was they wanted their customers to see their pricing, their customer specific pricing, their tax rules, their inventory rules. So connecting the website directly to ERP to get all that information, it doesn't work. The ERP, you may not know, I mean, I know John, but what an Atari is, right? It's an old, the power of the computers that run these ERP systems are equivalent to an Atari often. So anyway,
you're talking about my glory days. You
me too, man.
Baby.
Love it.
Get me River Raid. Get me Combat. Now you got Come on, 80s children, unite. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
No, that most people when I say that are like kind of deer in the headlines. Like,
all right, 2600 ruled. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So anyway, we built high performance websites. We built a bidirectional sync between the ERP system and the website, so customers could see their customer specific pricing, taxing, shipping. They could make orders, pay invoices, do RMAs, and all that data would just back and forth. And that's really when our business took off, was when we found the right market niche, where we found the right problem to solve. And we did good for the trying to figure out to that, but when we hit that, that's when our business really took off. I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, you start your career at BP, right? At Amoco,
yeah, BP,
corporate job, And then you help kind of co-found, I guess the best way to describe it is like a SaaS company, right? Software as a service.
It wasn't called that back then, but it is now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you do that for 24 years and you're the chief technology officer.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you exit, right? And you kind of say, okay, and I love, we'll talk about your ebook in a little bit, but you're like, okay, I think I'm kind of done now. I'm 51. I had a successful exit of this company I spent 24 years building. Then you have this 19-hour flight delay that changes everything. So now tell us about that part of the story.
Yeah, and really my exit, an important point, and thanks for helping me get there, is during the exit, I had a 3-year exit, which is really long. It was 3.5 years.
Wow.
But towards the end, and it's because, and it was fine because I built all the technology and trying to bring in 3 or 4 people to then run that technology because I want the business to accelerate. I want it to do good, right? I set it up for success. So during that exit, though, I started levels of stopping work, meaning I was working for 3 days a week, then 2 days a week, and then 1 day a week. And these each were quarters of that. So I had a long span where I was barely working, and the work they were giving me was, wasn't much. So I got really bored. And that's a good precursor to when I kind of, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not done. It was a long turn of getting bored. Like, I don't do bored well. There's only so much Netflix I can watch. There's almost so much I can sit by the swimming pool and work out, and all that stuff's great. But like I said, I'm not done. So yeah, flying with my family to my niece's graduation in Portland, Oregon. Oh no, Seattle, Washington, and get stuck for 9 hours in an airport. DFW, American Airlines, shout out.
Boy, I see some horror stories. I just saw one from DFW. It said, and they quoted the Hotel California song. He's like, I'm at DFW hotel courtesy of American Airlines. You can check out, but you can never leave.
It was terrible. It was terrible. But long story short, it's been very fruitful because I met another business owner who had a lot of technical issues and struggled to find someone who could help him solve it. And it kind of, working with that company, ignited my passion again. I realized I was tired from what I was doing. I had time to rejuvenate. And now I'm doing something similar, but different. And I'm back in new technology. And one thing with doing SaaS is you're continuously building the same application. You're trying to keep it better and better. I'm doing different things all the time, which just ticks the box for me. So
I love it. And it ends up, so you make this connection that starts kind of this new direction for you, right? The outside the box solutions. So kind of tell us kind of in a nutshell, and we'll talk more about, the approach we're taking on LinkedIn, but in your own words, kind of what that is, what the focus is, what you do.
So what this kind of, again, matured from just trial and error with this company, a couple other small companies. But basically, I help executive teams optimize and automate workflows that they already own. Okay, so take third-party system, ERP, CRM, project management, CAD, and even their internal workflows. And we don't redo those. We don't put in new systems. I'm not bringing a new, hey, let's replace your ERP with this new automated one. We find optimizations inside of those. And so what we do is we can tailor our existing automations, and I can touch on a few examples. But I also work with these companies on their existing automations. That print one I talked about is a good one, right? Where there is no AI involved, right? So let's bring up AI. Okay, it's the buzzword, it's the new craze, and it's awesome. But
it's the Atari 2600 of the 21st century, Eric. Let's just call it what it is.
That's right.
It's a little more technologically advanced,
and it's awesome, right? But it is not the solution for everything, much to what everyone says. At least from my experience working with real customers, working with real problems, and we use AI all the time. And we use it as a leverage, a force multiplier, not as a gimmick, right? So not every solution needs AI, right? Most of them don't, right? But there are ones where it can really make a difference. So right now, I'm focused on civil engineering, or the A&E, architecture and engineering space, civil engineers, companies, architectural, structural, those kind of companies. But really what I'm doing works with any company, any type of company. But having a bunch of experience with the main customer that I worked with for a couple of years, that it made sense, right? There's a real need. Most of these companies are behind and know they need to catch up. So it seems like a sweet spot. I guess time will tell on that, right?
Yeah, well, it's so good. I mean, the riches being in the niches, and
right. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to steal it from you.
Don't steal my thunder, man. Come on. Yeah, no, I love it. Well, let me pull up the screen share for the video, and obviously we're doing audio for the podcast too, so I'll read some of what I'm sharing. But with your profile page, and this is where we kind of got connected on the LinkedIn side, obviously. Really understanding kind of some of the key takeaways, now that you've heard Eric's story, was we really wanted to position him. There is, riches are in the niches, and what we always look for in our clients, and what Eric recognized was who am I already working with in certain industries that there's a need. I've had success. I have case studies. I have testimonials. It's so much easier because Eric's right. He can do this for any company. But what we really did with Eric, and even starting with your profile headline, was obviously using this formula that I really like, which is the service you provide and then the target audience. And so the service Eric provides is automation and integration expert. And then it's for who's the audience, right? Architecture and engineering executives. And then we've got some nice social proof we can add, right? Because you're a founder, you're a former SaaS founder and CTO, right? So we're really able to kind of do that with your profile. And then even in the about section, really getting clear, and this is just good takeaways for anybody watching or listening, that first sentence is so key. And the formula that I like is, what I do. And then it's, I help this type of, client get these benefits by providing this service. And so for Eric, what it says is what I do. I partner with architecture and engineering executives. And then here's the key is the benefits that they get from Eric: eliminate inefficiency, connect disconnected systems, and automate repetitive work. How does he do it? Custom business automation and integration solutions that transform how the organizations operate. So really like that, man. It feels so clear, doesn't it? Of like, they can scan your profile and immediately know kind of what's in it for them.
For sure. Love it.
Yeah. I like whoever wrote this, hell of a job.
No doubt.
And then the other key thing too, that I would just want to share with Eric's is, kind of highlighting, the key thing, who you work with, and he's got listed out, right, the CEOs and presidents. And I like too that we added what they're looking for: looking to scale, seeking to streamline, wanting to eliminate bottlenecks, wanting to optimize workflows, wanting to connect, disparate systems, and then listing out the services, right? Business process automation, system integration, civil 3D automations. There's all these kind of niche services. And then we're even adding in a little bit of Eric's story. So we talked about, started at BP, migrated, 30,000 email boxes. Holy cow.
Yep, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, founded your own company in 1999, 24 years as the CTO, and then launches outside the box. And then he's got some great client outcomes, right? So being able to explain some of these different outcomes that he's had. He's got a nice testimonial from a client here. And then the other thing I really wanted to highlight that I think has been really helpful is just going through your ebook, and some of your case studies. And so I'll share that as well. But one of the key things that we found with a lot of our clients is having some sort of content, and Eric has both case studies and ebooks, which we'll show. But I really like the ebook because when it's done well, it can really showcase two things. One is, your story, your journey. And then the other thing is actually demonstrating expertise and frameworks and strategies. And I love the example with your ebook, and you tell the story obviously really well yourself, but the 19-hour delay that changed everything. I thought I was done. It's like, whoa, what? Right? 51, co-founding and exiting a successful SaaS company where I spent 24 years as a CTO. I figured I'd earn the right to step back, maybe travel, spend more time with my wife, Julie, and our boys, work out, relax. But like you said, I'm not wired that way. Right? So we're starting.
Unfortunately, it makes.
Yeah. But what I like about this for people, listening and watching is like, you're really understanding, like, there's a story behind this guy, behind this company. And I think we forget in marketing, we still want a connection, right? As much as, everything's a commodity now, like, we want to know, who is Eric? Why would I trust him? What makes him unique, different, and better? What's his story? And he talks about, in the ebook, obviously, the 19-hour flight delay and meeting somebody from your hometown, Keller, Texas, and you talk for 10 straight hours. And before you get on the plane, the guy's like, hey, we need to do something together. Call me. Right. And then you go back to the computer dork. You had the Trash 80. I love it. That's what they called those, the TRS 80s. Oh man. See, I love
it. I thought it was cutting edge back then, man.
I remember one kid on our block got like an Apple IIe or something, and we were all like freaking out, the early Apple computers. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a great storytelling, great job in this ebook. And then the other thing I wanted to share too was,
I take credit for the ebook, by the way.
No, well,
your team did it.
Yeah. But I like too these case studies, right? Where you're able to say, you're able to actually show a case study, and what we've put together is a simple PDF where it's like, here's the challenge, here's the solution, right? Here's what happened, here's the results, here's the benefits of doing this automation, right? And then kind of your bio at the end. And I think I'm curious kind of what's been your impressions, with LinkedIn in general as a lead source, I guess, before you talk to us, now that you're kind of, in the beginning stages of your project, what you've seen, what surprised you. I'd love your feedback.
Yeah. What I didn't realize getting started, and overall it's been great. So it's been great working with you and the team. But what I didn't realize going into this, when I said, I'm going to go after architectural and engineering, I basically had none of my first levels, none of my 25 plus years was in that space. So I'm basically starting from scratch. I'm not known there. Right. So the one thing that stands out as that was a key learning, maybe I should have thought about that, was I'm building a brand new network inside of LinkedIn around this versus targeting existing areas or places where I have connections and people know me, and in different spaces. I say that, but I still have a no compete in some of these spaces, so it become very tricky in walking through some of that. So, but regardless, that was a key learning, was it's going to take a little longer. I've already had some success. I'm sure you want to talk about that, but one key learning was going in and building a brand new network where nobody knows me is proving to be a longer process than I didn't even think about that piece of it.
Yeah. And it's a good point. Like understanding, depending on what you've used LinkedIn for previously. Like to your point, I'm connected to all these people in all these different places. You might have old coworkers from BP, old college friends from Texas A&M. You might have people that you worked with at your previous company, but it gets complicated, right? Because you've got some non-competes, or you've got, kind of scattered connections all over the place. And so one of the things that we really try to do is focus on where can Eric get the most bang for his buck? Like where is the niche where the riches are, right? And so for you, trusting the process and saying okay, architecture and engineering firms, I don't have a huge footprint there. I'm not known as that guy, but because of your background, because of your stories, because of your client experiences, you have the juice to kind of prove to that audience once they get to know you. So tell me a little bit about, kind of the early results and what you've been happy with, what the success has looked like for you as far as from your perspective.
So I've had started around December 1 when we launched the campaigns, and I've had 4 calls, 4 booked calls, which one basically was a flat out no. So the other learning from this was, and I take it all as a learning opportunity to what's the market telling me. So every call I try to step back and say, what is the market telling me? So early success, like when we started the campaign, I had a customer, a lead, reach out, booked a call immediately. It went friggin' awesome. I thought, oh man, woo, baby, here we go. And then it Christmas hit and it went dead. And I thought, okay, so I went in kind of into a follow-up mode, and Amy helped me get into, a good cadence of reaching out. And I had a call with them circling back to that customer yesterday. I'm quoting them now, and unless I blow it, it's going to be a victory. It's going to be a sale for sure. Now, the type of sales I do, that was my other big learning from this, meeting with those 4 people so far. And I want lots more, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're just getting started. We're just getting started.
For a week, but we're just getting started. And that's where the realization of, okay, I have no footprint in here. Like, it's going to take time to build up. And, if I secure this new company, which I will, assuming I don't blow it, that'll be another customer in the A&E space. It'll give me a reference. That'll, that's just going to start the small snowball that'll build up. I'm acutely aware that it's going to take time. But that's going to be a big success, right? So what the realization is, it's going to take time, and it's going to, the type of stuff I'm doing with this consulting, it's not like I'm selling a $200 or $1,000 thing. I'm trying to get into a monthly large sale every month, where I'm just helping them month over month over month. Call it a retainer. So it's going to take time. So that's the other thing, is just key learning. Like, I thought I was going to have a quick win. It's going to be, the snowball is already huge at the top of the hill. And think of any entrepreneur as, you think as you're building, and then reality sets in. But even the no's, realizing that I'm not for everyone. So that was the other key big learning and the company I talked to that gave me I'd say a high quality no, gave me lots of good detail on why. And that's just taking that as a business owner and saying, okay, how do I adjust to that, right? So there's some companies that are, I'll call them late stage adopters. They don't want all this new stuff until it is rock solid and there are no problems. And then I have there's other companies like this one I'm quoting this week that are cutting edge. They want to be right on the forefront. So trying to dial in where those are, and potentially then I was like, okay, well, let me start a little separate campaign, and Amy and Becca have helped me do that, getting that going, where I'm targeting those late stage with what would look like a more mature product that's more of a turnkey managed service. So that's the other thing, is using you guys to test different options in the market, right? So keeping the main churn going, like I look at it just in the background, like just churning and churning, and then trying little targeted things to see where I, again, get information back from the market, figure out what opportunities are there, and then just keep tailing. It's there. There is, like, gut instinct, gut feel, call it whatever you want. There is something here. I just haven't hit it 100% yet, right? I don't know what it is. Same thing I did in the previous business. I'm hoping it's a little bit shorter time frame to get to it this time.
Not 24 years, yeah.
But I'm gonna keep trying and different tactics and different offerings to see where it lands.
Well, and this is there's so many good takeaways there, but one of the key things that you said is what I always try to emphasize to our clients is, like, giving us feedback on the calls and saying, like, hey, there's a trend here between the early adopters and the late stage adopters. Let's change up some campaigns. Let's change up some language. Let's change up some offerings, so that we're not just like doing generic templated, throwing it against the wall for anyone and everyone. And I think that's the key to success, is like listening. You're listening to the real decision makers on these calls. Even in a high quality no, you're getting clues of, like, okay, this is how I need to change it for this type of company. And I think that's where the success comes, right? Is understanding, like, the beautiful thing about LinkedIn lead generation and outreach is it is all digital. So you can change in a heartbeat what you're saying, who you're targeting. It's not like it's, physical products and, moving, human beings around. So that's really been key. I think I'm very excited for the quote. So I think that's another key thing too, is understanding the patience that you have as a business owner. If you're doing significant, engagements, investments, 5 figures, 6 figures, whatever it ends up being, it's not an instant, yes, sometimes, and trust has to be built. And that's really where, the content comes in, and the profile and the testimonials. But to your point, you're starting to see this momentum where now you're starting to get more clients in this niche, and it's just going to get easier and easier the next time out, man. So what other, I guess, advice would you give, the small business owner right now, the coach, the consultant, who they're exploring LinkedIn, they're trying to get more leads, they're trying to build an audience like you are? What are some key takeaways or insights you would share with just anyone in general about this?
I'd say it's not an overnight thing, right? So it's not just like any marketing, any business, it's not an overnight thing. and it takes time, and there's not a one size fits all, meaning I guess what I mean there, let me rephrase that. You have to engage. It's not meaning it's with your project manager with it as ongoing. You can't just let it in the background and it's going to fill up your lead funnel. You've got to listen to customers. You've got to engage in the content and continuously be, in the software world, we call it continuous improvement, right? We just continuously improve. And I'm taking that approach with this. I'm highly engaged with customers, with you guys, and trying to find where it is. So from the LinkedIn marketing, so far it's been awesome, right? So far, I'm happy with the results. Of course, I want more. Of course.
Who doesn't? Yes.
Right? I want more, right? But I understand that it's going to take time. And at some point, I just view it as a snowball, right? It's just this little snowball at the top of the mountain, and I'm just pressing it forward. And it might take a right turn. I got to turn it back left. It's just be engaged. So my advice for running engaging with you guys and being successful is be engaged and be engaged with your customer, continuously giving feedback. Like, when I meet with Amy every week, I tell her what happened on the calls. Like, I give her that feedback. I tell her. I share the text of the email that had all that information in it, so that we can work together to, again, not one size fits all, just massage the process, continuously improve it over and over and over again till we find where it hits. And I fully believe it'll hit, and it's just a matter of time.
I love it, man. I want to clone you. Eric. So
that would be scary. That would be scary.
Scary for all of us.
No, it's scary for all of us. You don't want that. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. Well, so where can people find you? Yeah, obviously, for all the different business owners that want to take a look at you, potential clients, where are the best places to direct them online?
Well, LinkedIn.
That's a good spot. Eric Ward on LinkedIn. Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing is using you guys as advice. Like, do I have a website right now? I don't. Do I need one? Probably not, right? I've got a domain name, right? So otbox.com. If you want to email me, it's eward@otbox.com, or just go to my LinkedIn profile. That's probably the best way to start. Email me, or and I'm happy to engage in any type of conversation around business, around what I've done in the past. Just talking about. I talked to my insurance agent yesterday, called and just wanted to talk about AI. Well, okay, I like to talk about it, right? So my whole goal, there's a book that is kind of the core of how I run my business, called The Go Giver. If you've never read that book, read that book. It's not the go getter, the go giver. And really, my goal is just to provide value everywhere I can, to everyone I can, because it'll come back. It will definitely come back to you. So I'm happy to talk about anything or help just about anyone, for sure.
That is fantastic, man. Eric Ward, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome. Thank you for all your help.